Having a good relationship with your parents, with your family, what does it mean? How do we get there? Do you have to? Are you a failure if you do not manage to have a good one? These are questions I will answer in this video because there's a lot of misconceptions in the world about this. And I will explain to you the how and why and what you can do to change this. Like, subscribe, and share. Hi, my name is Lotfi Murat, and in this video I would like to answer the questions that I've come across a lot in the past months, let's say the past half year at least, as well as for a big part of my life actually. But it started to become more and more visible, and I experienced things myself. I've seen things happening very close to me, and I've also seen what we're being told. And when it comes to relationship with family members, we're being told at school, in church, synagogue, mosque, through religion, through media, through family members, basically from everywhere we talk, you need to have a good relationship with your parents, you need to respect your parents, you need to obey your parents. There's a lot of obeying that we're supposed to do. Obey the government, obey the police, obey the teacher, obey, I don't know. You need to obey basically everyone who somehow is put above you. But that aside, and you're not a good son or a good daughter if you do not have a good relationship with your parents, if you do not listen to your parents, if you do not take care of your parents, if you do not swallow all the stuff that they're throwing at you. And now you may be saying, but there are limits. Well, in more modern societies, there's more distance between parents and their kids. But if you look at societies that are a little bit more traditional, well, then it's very common that your mother or even your mother-in-law would just sniff through your closet and your drawers, including your underwear, maybe even come across your sex toys, decide to reorganize things, decide to criticize you on how you organize your kitchen, your bedroom, your closets, your whatever, the type of clothes you're wearing or the combinations you make, the kind of choices you make in life in general. The reason that there is this perception that mothers-in-law are witches, are horrible, that is because some of them, definitely not all of them, but some of them love to do what I just mentioned, all those examples. They love to stick their noses where they don't belong because their kids have left home and they have nothing to do, so they want something to do. And because the children did not cut the umbilical cord with their parents, they're still being seen as their children, not as their adult children. And so mainly the mothers, but sometimes also the fathers, they can do the same thing if they have enough time, or if they decide to make time for it. They can really get involved in basically everything you do. And that creates a lot of tension. And some of you might, that's bullshit. I don't have that, but I also don't have a good relationship with my parents. And then you may feel some guilt there. Even if you say there is none, you still feel in here like, And yes, ideally we would have a great relationship with our parents and with the rest of our family. But I was saying from my late teens, family you get, friends you choose. Within your family you may have some friends, and then you have the rest, and some of them may be even assholes. And I was not afraid of saying that even during a family reunion, because, hey, that's me. I do say what I feel. And I've always had good reason for saying things like this. But then, you cannot say that to your family. It's not nice. There you go. Says who? Who has decided on that? Who says you need to kiss ass of all the family members, of your parents, of your brothers, of your older brother or whatever, of a sister? What you also see happening is that when a mother dies, the eldest daughter tries to take charge of the family by sticking her nose into other people's stuff, literally or metaphorically. And it is very common that when children say stop to their parents, that the parents get upset and start to treat them really badly and call them names and things like that because, hey, you're my kid. You came out of me. I raised you. I spent money on you. I spent all my youth on you. So you should be grateful to me. Yes, we are grateful. But that doesn't give you the right to own me. And I'm lucky. Especially lately, I even wondered if I would have had this kind of problems with my mother. I say would have because my mom died when I was 24. And after I left home at the age of 2021, she tried to hold on control over me. And in the last year, I really pushed hard to release myself from that. And I cut the umbilical cord. And that was tough for them, especially for my mom. But I needed that because I needed to grow up. I needed to make my own mistakes. I needed to walk my own path in life, not what my mother was saying that I should be doing. For my mom it was because she was a teacher. I believe that is the reason. She believed you do primary school, secondary school, you go to university, you graduate, you get married, then you have sex, and then you have children. Yes, you heard the order. Then you have children, and you have a house, and you have a dog, cat, whatever, and you live happy ever after. Well, I had other plans. I chose to take a completely different path in life. And my father was also a rebellion, so he understood me. He may not have agreed on every choice I made, but he gave me some space and he told me when I really broke the chain in 1995, he told me that if there was a problem I could call him at the office so that mom would not freak out and he would help me in whatever way possible. And my relationship with my father has been going like this, and I had to stand up for myself a few times, make clear what my boundaries are, and then also guarding them, because when I set my boundaries, they got crossed again at a certain moment, so I really had to enforce them. It's not enough to say, hey, here's the line I don't want you to cross. because most people, they're so used to things, especially if they've been behaving for 40 years or more a certain way. It takes time to change. Maybe they don't want to change. And so my relationship with my father is fine now. My relationship with the family, well, I have some friends in the family. I have a huge family, really huge. Whole bunch of uncles and aunts. On my mom's side, they start to die. On my father's side now also. But then I have plenty of cousins because everyone loved having children. I mean, whoo, they have been doing it a lot. Good for them. So I have a huge family and many cousins already have children themselves. So yeah, it's a big family. I barely know any of the children of my cousins because I've seen them once or twice, maybe, even if. And for the rest, yeah, I'm just in touch with a few and that's it. And of course there are cultural differences, there are philosophical differences, and although I respect those, doesn't mean that I'm in the mood to sit with people who have a completely different view of life. Because what can you talk about? Superficial stuff? Well, I'm not in the mood for that. And the people who are close to me know this. They'll tell you, Lotfi doesn't do superficial talk. When you talk with Lotfi, he's going to ask you how you are, and he really means that. It's not like, hey, how are you? Like in an American shop, and they don't give a fuck what you answer. They preferably, you'll just answer, good, thank you, how are you? And move on. And the Brits are as good at that as the Americans. But then I started around my 40s to actually answer the question honestly, and then people would run away or would get super uncomfortable because they didn't want the answer to the question because they actually didn't give a shit. Well, if you don't give a shit, don't ask me. Don't waste my energy. Just say hi or bye and move on. Coming back to family, we have karma, we have genetic inheritance, we have energetic inheritance. You may have heard of the father and the mother line, and there is a lot that has come down these lines. And we carry around all that crap. Most of it is not ours. So I've been working a lot on cleaning my father line, my mother line, and it's an ongoing process. I started in 2012 doing that, maybe even earlier, and I'm helping also my clients doing that, and the results are amazing. And even if you've done a lot of work on that, there may still sometimes things that pop up and you're like, oh, because we evolve, we grow, we go to the next level, and then on that next level we also come across stuff. Or we may have come across something on level 1, but then on level 3 it's also present in a different way. So we need to deal with that again, but on that new level. And so cleaning out the ancestral lines is very important. And you will see changes in the behavior towards you. There may be at the start some anger or frustration or irritation because they actually feel what you did. They don't know that you did it. They don't know what you did, but they feel the discomfort because suddenly there's something on their plate, something they need to deal with. And so it's important to be aware of this and just to stay calm, to know what is about you and what is not. Generally, people start shouting at me or telling me, talking to me harshly, I don't really feel to react. Unless I've had a bad day and then they are giving me an excuse to just throw at them and release on their heads my frustration of my day. But normally I'm like, it's not about me. I don't know what you're shouting about, but it's not about me, so bye. I don't feel accused because I didn't do any of those things. And this is part of the shadow work. If you've heard of shadow work. And that's why I use the word now consciously so that you know that clearing the ancestral line is also part of the shadow work. And some things that are deeply rooted in us and we may need more time before we can fully release them. So maybe we can release it partially. And that's already win because whatever we release is out of our systems. So the more we release, the lighter we get. We have huge backpacks. They may not seem huge, but they're full of stuff. There's a lot inside. And it's not like you can just take off that backpack and throw it in the fire and it's gone. I experienced somebody doing that actually during a workshop, but I came across that person years later and I can see he still has a hefty backpack. That's okay because I can also see that person has been working on himself. So, but you may feel at that moment that you threw everything in the fire and you may really feel it, but then you feel how it is to carry around less. But it's not really possible to always have shortcuts or take shortcuts and just say, okay, now I want all this crap done and gone. And I see sometimes people posting things where they say like, now I decided, bam, 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 bam. It doesn't mean your life instantly changes and nothing will come your way anymore. It's important that you enforce those boundaries that you set. And then that you change your way of interacting with your environment as well. Starting with yourself, within yourself. And so, if your parents, I'll bring it back to just the parents now, if your parents are not like you and me working on themselves, because you watching this video, I assume that you're actually working on yourself, that you're further developing yourself, that you're growing, that you're digging, that you try to transform yourself, to evolve, to let go of certain things, to heal your wounds. And if our parents are not doing this, then this means that we cannot have the same kind of conversation that we have with our best friends, who are most likely doing the same as we're doing. And if they're not, then either they will start doing it or you will have to let them go as well or take more distance from them and you will get closer to other people who are more on the same frequency. And this means that you will not be able to have those kind of conversations with your parents. It means you will need to accept that they are living in a different world, that they're seeing the world from a completely different perspective. Which means that they may still judge you. They may start bothering you less if they see that you're comfortable and they can see your self-confidence. Because then they realize that they do not need to worry about you. If you try to please them, if you're begging for their love, for their attention, for their appreciation, you're fucked. people say, pardon my French when you say this, and especially a Canadian friend of mine says, and I'm like, hey, come on, you have learned French, you know the word fuck doesn't exist in French. You say merde, ou bien putain, or other things. But anyway, yes, if you work with me, you'll know I sometimes make stupid jokes just to break the tension. Because we're taking life way too seriously most of the time. We need to loosen up. Although this is a quite serious video of mine, right? So okay, I'll blow some air into this one at the end, so at least you'll be relaxed at the end of this video. So when our parents are not doing the work, then yeah, yeah, they will be living in a different world. And so asking for their approval, asking for them to appreciate what we're doing is like asking a Chinese person to write a poem in Dutch while this guy has never left China, never studied Dutch or even English. And I'll give you an example. Quite some years ago, I went to visit my father, and it was 2 years after my breakthrough 2012, it was 2014, and I had adapted my coaching. It went from more mind coaching to soul coaching to working with intuition, stuff like that. And already had been helping a lot of people see beautiful transformations, see people um, improve the quality of their lives. And my father has dedicated his whole career to helping people to improve the quality of their lives. But he was doing that in a different way. He was director and later a regional director of schools where you learn a craftsmanship. You would become a carpenter, a welder, whatever. And also helping these people to set up their own business. And wherever he goes in the country, he comes across people who salute him and are happy to see him because they're grateful because he taught them or he helped them or whatever. And so I proudly shared with my father what I'm doing now, and that I'm also helping people just like him. That apparently he's in the genes because his father also helped people, his grandfather helped a lot of people. So yeah, hey, Dad, you can be proud of me. I'm doing that and that and that and that. And nothing, literally nothing. I will spare you the details of how that conversation went, but I was really mad and super disappointed. And it took me a while, and I talked with some people, and at a certain moment I realized, like, yeah, well, what I'm doing, personal development, that is something from what came after his time. So he may know the word, but he doesn't know what it is because it was not part of his job description, not part of what he learned at school, not part of what he experienced in life consciously. I know he grew personally a lot, but nobody put that label on him. So when I try to share things with him, he doesn't get it. I realize now while telling you this that maybe I should be focusing on giving him some very concrete examples. Examples that are closer to his reality so that he actually understands. Some are coming up now, so I may have a bit longer conversation with him next time when I call him, because our conversation is quite short now, because there's not much we can talk about. It's like, hey, how are you? How's business? How's your health? How are you feeling? How's your girlfriend? How's this and that? Have you spoken with some other family members? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're important topics, but it's more superficial. And then that's it. He knows I'm fine. I know he's fine. End of conversation. And there's no hard feelings there. I mean, I accept this now. I understand this is how he rolls. And yeah, but having the illusion that he will see things from my perspective, that will only lead to frustration and disappointment. So I encourage you to first look at the life that your parents or the family members with whom you have issues are leading. Put it next to your life, compare and look, see all the differences. And then you go in here and feel. If there's love, then it's fine. Even if they do not know how to express it, because certain generation of people never learn to express their love, never learn to express their emotions. That's also a cultural thing. Cannot change that. Not overnight, not instantly. So be gentle with yourself first. Be gentle with the people around you. And sometimes just enough that you know that you love them. Even when they have all these defects, you know they're not doing it on purpose. It's just how they're wired, how they were raised, how they see society. And of course, it's important to set your boundaries. I did have to set my boundaries with some family members, including my father. I did that, and I had to enforce them. And yep, now I have my freedom within my kingdom, and they have their freedom within their kingdom. At least from me. What they do with others, I don't care. None of my business. And I'm happy. So if you recognize a lot of this, if you have trouble with this, if you need somebody to hold space for you, to just vent, or you want to change something, to clean your ancestral line, to work on your relationship with your parents, for example, contact me. I've done the work. I'm still updating, like software, I keep updating. I will not say I know exactly how you feel, but I have a pretty good idea. And maybe you have experienced things that are 10 or 100 times worse than I did. And I've come across people who experience things like 1,000 times worse than what I experienced. But it doesn't mean that your case is uh, helpless, or how you say, I cannot find the word, but you know what I mean. Like there is no hope, hopeless case. No, no. Because about what you do for yourself and within here, and I can help you with that. I wish you a wonderful day, and see you soon. Like, subscribe, and share.